Hey guys, and welcome. Before we get started on this presentation's topic, I'd like to ask you three quick questions. First off, what games do you play? They can be games you play now or games you played as a kid. They can be games you play by yourself or with others. It doesn't matter. Just think of the game or games. Now, keeping those games in mind, what are they for? What are they for you? Are they a way to spend extra time? Are they a way to liven up a party? Are they a way to relieve stress? Take some time to contemplate. Finally, what skills did those games provide you? Now, I know what you're thinking. Games are just games. They can't possibly provide skills. Actually, they can. Games are capable of providing life skills just like any other life experience. And I don't just mean as a coping mechanism, though they can be that too. Let's take a look at some examples. Card games are the most common games for kids. They're accessible and easy to learn. Go Fish was the first game I learned as a kid, and believe it or not, it taught me strategy and how to read people. Think about it. In Go Fish, you're required to make pairs of like number cards either by drawing or asking others if they have the cards you need. You have to pay attention to what others are looking for, as well as what's in your own hand, and deduce who has what you need. There you go. Strategy and reading others. How about Uno? Another great card game that most people think relies on luck, when in reality, it relies on how well you pay attention to your opponents, as well as how well you can control your emotions and facial expressions. You can easily bluff people, and they can easily bluff you. By learning to read people, you can determine who's bluffing pretty easily by their body language or facial expressions. There's also strategy involved, including probability and prediction. When drawing or when relying on another's hand, you must be able to accurately predict what will be drawn or played based on what has been drawn or played recently. Patterns are everywhere in life, you just have to learn how to read them. As for strategy, the whole game is strategy in order to win. Strategize your hand while dwindling your cards so that there is no one color until you're at the very end, and so no one can predict your hand. It's complicated, sure, but those who win Uno constantly are very good at these particular skills. How about we look at the board game Monopoly now? It involves the use of the skill of money management. You must decide what you can buy based on your budget, as well as what will win you the most cash from fellow players. Is it better to buy multiple properties, or to level up the ones you own in order to get more cash? This game, like Uno, also involves probability. Which spaces are landed on the most? Try to land on them yourself so you can buy the property and force your friends to pay. And of course, strategy is always involved because there is always a surefire method to winning any game. Now take a moment to think. Those are games that have no technology involved whatsoever. Just a game and your wits. So, what skills can be gained from a game that does make efficient use of technology? Well, that's what I want to talk about today. Welcome to a presentation on the benefits of modern-day video games. All video games can provide exactly 7 skills or benefits, the first being what's known as the catharsis theory, which states that our built-up emotions, anger, and frustrations can be discharged by expressing them through healthy, alternative means, like playing a video game to vent or relax. This introduces kids to healthy coping mechanisms that help them to de-stress so they don't become overwhelmed by a situation or work. Video games help release tension so they can go back to whatever they were doing without exploding or having an anxiety attack. The second skill or benefit of playing video games is improved hand-eye coordination. A study from the University of Toronto finds that people who regularly play video games are better able to learn new sensory motor tasks and have improved hand-eye coordination than people who do not play video games. Think of it like this. X and Y both represent the hands moving independently of one another while being dependent on and responding to Z, the images the eyes are taking in. While playing a video game, the child is forced to keep their attention on the screen while still using the information gathered from that screen to control their character with the remote in their hands without looking at it. They are pressing buttons while moving joysticks and performing complex movements with their hands without once glancing at them to make sure they are correct. This capability can easily be moved to the real-world situations, such as typing without looking at a keyboard, which improves their typing speed. Video games also promote creativity and creative solutions. A study of nearly 500 12-year-olds found that the more kids played video games, the more creative they were in tasks such as drawing pictures and writing stories. In another study, 98 undergraduate and graduate students were asked to play a popular video game, Dance Dance Revolution, at various levels of complexity. The students took a standard creativity test after playing. When the researchers ran a statistical analysis of the two emotional variables and the students' creativity scores, they found two totally different groups with high scores. Players with a high degree of physical exertion and positive mood were most likely to have new ideas for problem solving. The statistical tests also revealed that creativity scores were highest for players with low physical exertion and a negative mood. So depending on which category a child falls under, their creativity receives a boost either towards the arts or towards cognitive capacity. In either case, the use of creativity is necessary in life to separate oneself from the pack and rise above to become successful. All games are also goal-based, meaning they require the player to complete certain steps in order to achieve the main goal. This is an excellent skill to teach kids so they can efficiently break down a difficult goal into smaller, more manageable tasks that will help them get there. Games are also an excellent learning environment for children. They teach kids that failure is always a possibility, but that it is a chance to learn from their mistakes and try again. Infinite chances means they have infinite tries to figure out the problem and come up with a solution. Whether that is the correct solution, they can determine for themselves by putting it into action. Another failure results in another attempt. Success results in a more challenging problem to tackle. In this way, the player learns that failure is temporary and that so long as they keep trying, they are bound to succeed. They also learn that there is no limit to how many times they can try or how long it takes them to complete the challenge. However, in order to maintain interest during these failures, games input what's known as a reward system, which allows the player to unlock valuables as they play. Games can reward the player in one of two ways. The first is the tangible rewards of a game, which consists of loot boxes, gear for the in-game character, weapons for the in-game character, or in-game currency to be spent on things needed for progression or for things they just want. Currency, a pay raise, or a nicer office are usually the real-life tangible rewards, but are not always very common. The more common real-life rewards are intangible, which the game does implement in the form of the in-game character gaining a level, story progression, the completion of a mission or goal, and the satisfaction or feeling of competency that comes with the completion. In real life, this is mimicked by being placed in a better position in a job, making connections that will help you progress, completing a project, or just seeing that the work you're doing is making an impact. Lastly, along with the reward system comes the perseverance or dedication of continuing to play despite the growing challenges or difficulties through the unlocking of better rewards over time. Basically, the more time the player puts in, the better their rewards are. We see this every day in the pay raises, the accumulation of sick or vacation time, and accruing more money for retirement. Now, although those are the 7 benefits that are seen in all games, that doesn't mean that certain genres don't have their own skills or benefits to pass along to players. In fact, there are 3 game genres that have their own particular skill sets. First of all, there are puzzle games, which require the player to use logic and problem solving in order to progress throughout the game. Take a look at this clip of a game called Portal, in which the player must maneuver through test chambers using a portal machine.
If the Enrichment Center is currently being bombarded with fireballs, meteorites, or other objects from space, please avoid unsheltered testing areas wherever a lack of shelter from space debris does not appear to be a deliberate part of the test. Well done. Well done.
As you noticed, the player used logic to recognize that they needed something on the button to keep the stairs available for them to climb to the next platform, but they needed problem-solving skills to obtain the box used to keep the button pressed. You saw this again when he needed another box to keep the door open for them to pass through to the next level. The second genre are multiplayer games, which can make use of one or two skills, either collaboration or friendly competition. In this clip, please note how the team collaborates to win the game.
So it's all in good fun. We're gonna have a good time, all right? But if the bomb blows up in his hands, one of you will have to step in.
Am I supposed to move somewhere? You just wanna...
The bomb right there in front of you. That's
I mean, I had it open before.
Okay, I'm gonna wire this.
Go to the next module.
We don't have time, no pressure!
Can I actually move here? I don't know. There's a table there.
I don't know how to say it.
You explain it to me and then I understand it.
Which one are we at? Which color
is this?
I'll guess this one. I have double, 2 X's. I think I guessed wrong. I'm not sure.
I think you
That's
guessed
the only
right.
two things
Is
I
there
have.
the double K?
Star, K, or A? Which one is the next one?
A.
Yeah?
Oh, and then K and then star.
You died?
Let's start with the wires.
There's super dark room. Hello. The time is ticking. Come on.
I think you have to cut the last one. Yeah,
Got the last. Are you sure?
Cut the last one.
Are you sure?
Cut the last Yes. wire.
Yes, it's good.
Alright, good to
Then
know.
I E.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
E.
then
A, E.
AE.
A.
A, E. Yeah.
AE and then
N.
N.
And then Omega.
And then Omega.
Nice. I got it.
Serial number. Okay.
Yeah.
That
Doesn't look like anything we have.
I can press some button.
Subject of memory? Is it this? Oh, I think he
I
has
blew
this.
up. Okay.
You blew up? Oh no. Press it. Boom, boom, boom.
Yellow.
How many whites?
One white.
Wait,
Then cut the fourth one.
how many yellows?
No,
How many
no,
yellows?
no.
One
There's
yellow.
more than one white.
One yellow,
He said
there is
one
more
white.
than one white wire.
No, one white only.
Yeah,
Okay.
More.
cut the fourth.
No red
No.
wires?
No.
You have red wires?
Yes, two red wires.
Okay, cut the fourth.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Okay, correct.
Okay, then there's a button. Detonate. How many times I need to press it or I don't know. I blew up last time.
Okay, just relax.
This one is hard. Press and immediately release the button.
Yes.
Alright, Gucci man, let's go. Okay, so do you remember the button you
pressed?
Alright, Gucci man, let's go. Okay, so do you remember the button you pressed?
In real life, you will often have to collaborate with your coworkers in order to complete projects, though hopefully not to defuse bombs. This clip demonstrates a game where the players are all competing against one another, which is similar to the competitive job market. Each player must use their surroundings and supplied gear to accrue points for themselves and rise above the other 3 players. By showcasing their superiority of skill and capability, the player singles themselves out, much like they will be expected to do in order to obtain a job in the future, though through much different means. The last genre of game is the first-person shooter game, or FPS for short. A report by Scientific American Mind wrote that a growing body of research indicates that playing first-person action games, particularly shooters, improves brain functions such as cognitive abilities and learning skills, changes that have real-life applications. Brain skills improved by playing FPS games include more than hand-eye coordination, a long-held assumption. Studies cited by Scientific American Mind found that gamers who played shooters often fared better in tests of abilities such as spatial reasoning, spatial focus, visual acuity, and decision-making. Now, of course, we don't expect these players to only be able to use these skills one at a time. That's why there are games that mix two genres at the same time and demonstrate through gameplay how those two skills can be used together. The first mix is a first-person shooter game that is also multiplayer. The example I've chosen to use is a game called Overwatch because it requires both collaboration and friendly competition of its players while including all the benefits of a first-person shooter game. Take a look at this image taken from a player's screen where 6 players working together must choose their characters to form a team. Notice that this team has been chosen to defend an objective, which means that they must collaborate and select a well-balanced team that will provide a formidable defense. Notice also that as the team selects their characters, the game will alert them as to whether or not the balance is formed with a healer that can help the other members of the team stay alive to hold the line of defense. But of course, they also need a support character to pick off enemies from afar in case any team members are incapacitated. They also need a few heroes that are specific to defense that can build walls or turrets to hold the enemy off, and a tank that can sustain a lot of damage and deal a lot of damage before being incapacitated. Without the collaboration of chosen characters, the team will not provide a solid defense and will surely lose their objective. This image, also taken from a player's screen, shows that the reason for excellent collaboration is because there is a second team of 6 players acting as the enemy and providing friendly competition. If they are collaborating well, and the defending team is not, then it is certain that the defense team will fail. But that's okay, because they can always try again and improve their collaboration. Just in case you need a better visual of how the game meshes the skills, I have provided a clip to watch. It's short and won't take much time.
The objective is now active.
Much better.
Second the objective. Come on over.
Better stay the objective.
Have you been back?
Your death makes me You got the kill too.
Yeah, time to heal up.
Oh, excuse me.
This is my jam. Triple kill. Oh, let's break it. Damn!
Repositioning.
Move to the beat.
Best round 1. Score 1-0.
Although this video didn't showcase it, there are also team chats where you can use voice chat to collaborate with other players, telling them what you need, when you need it, and where you need it. The next mix is a multiplayer puzzle game, which is best showcased by the game Portal 2. It asks for collaboration, not competition, as well as the use of logic and problem solving on the part of both players, who must communicate and work together in order to progress. Once again, I've provided a short clip to demonstrate how the skills are used in Tangent. You will see here that the screen is split so you can take note of both players' actions.
Orange receives 5 science collaboration points. As an impartial collaboration facilitator, it would be unfair of me to name my favorite member of your team. However, it's perfectly fair to hint at it in a way that my least favorite member probably isn't smart enough to understand. Rhymes with blue, orange, you are doing very well.
As you probably noticed, it took both characters doing completely different things to make sure that they could both get across all of the puzzles in order to go progress to the next level. The last mix is a first-person shooter game that involves puzzles, which asks the player to mesh the skills of quick decision-making and spatial skills with logic and problem-solving. Resident Evil 7, a recently released game, is a wonderful example of this particular mix.
Hey guys, Brian and PS4 Trophies, and I'm going to show you how to solve the incinerator room puzzle. Solving that puzzle will grant you the dissection room key. Use that key to access
This
the
clip
dissection
also
room,
features
and
somebody
that'll
who does
lead
the
you to
explaining
the
for me.
red dog head. Now, I'm not going to show you the ending of that for spoiler reasons, but if you're having trouble solving this puzzle here and finding the key to the room, here's how you do it. So you enter the incinerator room, which is right here, or in the processing area. Now we need to open up these drawers here in a specific way. You need to close them all and have just 2 specific ones open. Now the clue to that is going to be on the wall behind us. So let's go ahead and shut the door so nothing sneaks up behind me. And you'll see at the bottom that it's going to say, just remember, 3 A's and a handprint. That is your clue to solving this puzzle. So the dissection room key is actually in the Travis drawer there. Now you can see the names, Laura there. There's 2 A's there. There's a red handprint. And then you got a few more drawers down here. Let's go ahead and close that. That's Sean. There's only 1 A in Sean, but there's 3 A's in Tamara. So what we need to do is close all of them with the exception of the Tamara drawer on the far right, and then the one with the red handprint, which is right in front of us. So go ahead and open this one, and the one on the far right. It'll allow you to access this. You got a nice little surprise here. So make sure you're aware of this. You're ready for it. See if we can get a good headshot here. Bam, there you go. Now we can just walk up, grab the dissection room key. Again, this will lead you ultimately to the red dog head. Again, for spoiler reasons, I'm not going to mention anything past that, but I will take you to the dissection room door.
Now we can just walk up, grab the dissection.
So you just go this way, and it's to the left.
Again, this will lead you ultimately to the red dog head. Again, for spoiler reasons, I'm not going to mention anything past that, but I will take you to the dissection room door.
As you could see, the game required a puzzle, which it gave the clue to, 3 A's, and a handprint as to which drawers to keep open and which to close in order to achieve the dissection room key and progress through the story. So as you can see, video games are not just a fun way to waste time. They do have benefits and skills that are applicable to real life to pass on to the player, and that's why I am an advocate for their inclusion in education. Thank you for your time.